In the early morning light of Addis Ababa, the bustling capital of Ethiopia Emperor Haile Selassie, I returned to his palace after a night spent pondering the future of his nation and the continent of Africa. Known as the Lion of Judah, he commanded both respect and admiration, embodying the hopes of a people eager for progress. The air was thick with the fragrance of blooming jasmine, a scent that seemed to invigorate the emperor. He paused to greet the local children who played in the streets, their laughter ringing like music in the morning air. The emperor would often engage with them, kneeling to share stories of Ethiopia's rich history and the importance of unity among nations. He understood that the leaders of tomorrow were nurtured in the hearts and minds of these young ones. One particular morning, as he walked among his people, he sensed a growing unease. Reports had reached him of conflict arising between tribes in a nearby region, an age-old dispute rekindling bitterness that could lead to violence. Haile Selassie knew this was more than just a local issue. It represented a broader challenge faced by the continent, one he had always strived to address: the need for solidarity among African nations. Determined to foster goodwill, he summoned a council of tribal leaders to the palace. They arrived adorned in traditional garb, their expressions reflective of both pride and skepticism. The room was tense as Haile Selassie rose to speak. His eyes, deep and wise, scanned the faces before him. "My brothers and sisters," he began, "we stand at a crossroads. Our ancestors fought valiantly to unite under the banner of peace, and yet here we are allowing divisions to fester. We must remember that our strength lies not in our differences, but in our shared heritage as Africans." The air shifted as his words took root. Ancient kingdoms of Ethiopia, of men and women who laid the foundations of civilization. He painted a vision of a unified Africa, one where tribal differences became stepping stones for collaboration rather than barriers. As he detailed his dreams of an African union, the skepticism in the room began to dissolve. Inspired by the emperor's vision, the tribal leaders committed to forging peace. They formed a council to address disputes with dialogue rather than warfare. Haile Selassie's goodwill had ignited an ember of hope, illuminating a path toward harmony. Days turned into weeks, and soon news of the newly formed council reached beyond Ethiopia's borders. The emperor was invited to participate in a conference in Accra, Ghana, where leaders from across Africa gathered to discuss independence, unity, and self-determination. It was a historic moment, one that would shape the future of the continent. At the conference, Haile Selassie's presence was magnetic. Dressed in regal attire, he spoke eloquently about the need for African nations to rise together. Until the philosophy which holds one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned, he proclaimed, "Everywhere is war. We must stand united against oppression and build a framework of dignity and respect, one that echoes throughout our lands." His words rang true, and leaders from all corners of Africa began to turn their gaze inward, realizing that liberation was not merely political, but also social. Following the conference, many nations sought to shed the shackles of colonialism, inspired by the emperor's vision. Years later, as Haile Selassie sat reflecting in his garden, now filled with the vibrant laughter of children, inspired by his compassion and leadership, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He had not only nurtured Ethiopia's growth, but had also planted the seeds of unity across the African continent. The Lion of Judah was more than an emperor. He had become a symbol of hope, a beacon guiding nations toward mutual respect and honor in a world rife with strife. His legacy thrived in every bond forged, every peace brokered, and every child who would grow to understand that together as Africans, they could rise healthy and strong, unafraid to claim their rightful place in history. This vision extended beyond mere words, manifesting in generations who dared to dream of a brighter tomorrow, fueled by the belief that unity brings strength. In every exchange and shared story, the spirit of collaboration blossomed, reminding each person of their role in shaping a flourishing future. As the sun rose, so did the aspirations of the young souls, rooted in the lessons of their ancestors who fought for a better life. In moments of joy and unity, the legacy of resilience thrived, weaving together the hopes and dreams of a vibrant community. With each voice lifted in determination, a new generation emerged, ready to shape their destiny through education and shared purpose. In the classrooms, and beyond the seeds of knowledge, flourished nurturing minds that would lead their communities into an era of empowerment and collaboration.